And welcome again. I'm Gregor Finlay, and this is Sarah Turner, and we co-host the Coaching Question podcast. And we have developed the Coaching Question coaching cards. And one of the things we've been having quite a lot of, are requests for a video on how to use these cards. Um, and there's roughly 4 or 5 areas we've come across so far. And so we thought we would run through some of them to let people know basically how you can best use the cards. Sarah, why don't you start?
Yes, okay. So if we think about line managers, I've had a few conversations recently with clients who are perhaps relatively new to line management. And I think that with this COVID situation, everyone working virtually, year-end reviews, one-to-ones, 360 feedback, there are some potentially difficult conversations that need to be had, and they need to be had virtually, perhaps for the first time. And inevitably there's a nervousness around, how do I structure this conversation, or how do I really get the best out of this conversation, how do I shift this person? And so the cards have been really powerful for people. They literally take the pack of cards out and kind of scan through them and perhaps pull out one or two or even three questions that feel like they might resonate in that one-to-one conversation. And what we've heard is that's exactly what's happened. They've perhaps pulled out three cards, got them there, tried them as part of the conversation, and it's really helped.
Yeah, so I've got an example. I was talking to, so this isn't somebody who's new to leadership, it's not somebody who's new to coaching, but he had a really challenging conversation coming up with one of his reports. Now, it wasn't a performance management conversation. It was just a really challenging conversation about where she wanted to take the direction of the company and where he wanted to take the direction of the company. So that's where there was potential conflict. And the coaching cards had just landed on his desk, and he was thinking, what do I do? And he picked out the pack, and he looked through, and he found three. He thought, these are really good questions that I hadn't thought of using. And he used those three questions to structure that what he was thinking was going to be a very difficult conversation turned out to be a very productive conversation.
Mm.
He then used the three same questions with another one of his reports who are having quite a challenging time. So yeah, you don't have to be new to coaching or new to anything else to use it. And I think that brings us on to the second category, is other coaches using them, because we deliberately put these coaching cards out to other coaches. We want to get feedback and what worked well and what might work even better. And I've been really surprised at some of the positive feedback we've got.
Mm. Mm. And I think the thing is, as coaches, um, it's very easy sometimes to think about, well, what's the best question to ask here? Or we might reflect after a session and think, oh, maybe I could have taken that a different way, or I could have asked that question in a different way. And so even just in a reflective exercise, it could be after a session or even before a session, just to kind of flick through these and say, oh, I wonder, that might be useful. That could be a good question to ask. But even for self-supervision, I think,
Yeah.
session, thinking actually, how might I want to handle that differently next time?
Well, I think like before a session, I mean, I have got my favorite questions that I use. They're there.
Yeah, yeah.
We've all got them. Like if I'm looking at the cards now, what's missing in this situation? I haven't used that so much recently, but that used to be definitely one of my favorites. But I think one of the ones I learned from you is, what are you assuming that's stopping you from achieving your goal? Now, I know some of the processes I use get to that question, but that might not be a question that immediately pops into my head.
Mm.
So I think what other coaches have appreciated is just a really different perspective
Yeah.
that takes them out of their normal comfort zone. So that's the other way of just basically, before any conversation that you're thinking, I might need a bit of a fresher perspective here, just have a look at the car. So that's the second area.
And then there's some self-development. So plenty of people at the moment stuck at home, perhaps reflecting on what's going well in their job, or thinking about where they want to go next in terms of their development. So actually just being able to pull out some of these cards and spend a bit of quiet time, either in preparation for a one-to-one or just for your own purposes, to reflect on how things are going. So a couple of the examples here, how can I be more connected to the people around me? Well, I can't think of a more relevant time for me to be asking myself that than right now in the middle of a second lockdown when I'm really limited in terms of people I can connect to, but being a bit creative
Yeah,
about that. And how
yeah,
important is that to me?
yeah. And there's one there about how you notice the negative characteristics in other people, and how that
Absolutely.
might reflect on your own self-development. So, yeah, there's some really, really good stuff in there. So I
Yeah.
think for those people who just want something to assist them in their self-development, that's just essentially taking out a card, looking at it. You might journal, you might talk about it with your coach or anything else.
Yeah.
And I think the last area that I started talking to people about is in support of a leadership or coaching culture program.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to a fellow coach at the moment. I introduced cards to him, and he is talking to an organization about putting 100 leaders through this program. And he was
Mm.
thinking, what a wonderful, actually, because of the time of year, he's thinking about what a wonderful gift as part of the program, especially coming up to Christmas, that these can then be used as part of the program to extend the leadership really into that coaching leadership perspective. So I
Yeah.
think that's the other area that they can be really used well.
And the joys of things like Zoom, you could go into breakout rooms, everyone could have a pack of cards, choose a card from the pack, do a bit of co-coaching, do a bit of, development work with each other. I think there's a whole range of options really in terms of how you could use them.
And I understand there's a Teams update coming, which allows Teams to do breakout rooms as well. So it's not just going to be the Zoom world that can do that easily. The Teams world is going to be able to do that as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we didn't want this video to be too long, but people want to know how do you use them, and it is simply a matter of taking the cards out, having a look at them, not bringing them out in a meeting, but just having those questions ready as a supplement to your existing repertoire.
Yeah. A couple of prompt cards or a couple of prompt questions, and see how it adds value to your conversations.
Excellent. So I hope this video has been useful, and we shall see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.